Well, ask any seasoned pitmaster and he's going to tell you man invented fire so man could have his very first barbecue. Well, for Christopher Preito, the combination of fire and food is nothing short of a match made in heaven.
With warm weather upon us, it's time to fire up the grill. But instead of that same old hot dogs and hamburgers routine, how about serving up some barbecued salmon, smoked pork butt, or Texas-style beef brisket? Restaurant owner and pitmaster Chris Prieto is a 9-time barbecue champion. In the Southern Living Ultimate Book of Barbecue, he shares proven grilling tips, techniques, and recipes that'll take your grilling to a whole new level.
That's prime time.
Oh yeah, it's prime time, baby.
Well, Christopher Preito is with us now, and welcome. Great to have you here. I shake your glove here. Talk to me a little bit about how you got started in all this. You were young, just 5 years old.
I was. My father studied in Texas. He was getting his PhD at Texas A&M, and we would frequent little small barbecue restaurants. And when I was 5, he took me to my first barbecue place and just fell in love at first sight.
You were fascinated.
Yes.
I find that so interesting. And I know that you say that you have a calling for all of this because it's not just that you love barbecue.
Right.
You've got some techniques going here on every level. The seasoning, the rubs, the smoking, the whole thing. Why do you call it a calling?
God called me at a young age, at 5, and kind of everything I've done in life has always circled back to barbecue. And then I found Jesus through barbecue, and the easiest way to share it with people and what's been most effective is through my barbecue. So every step of my life that I've walked through, barbecue's been a part of it.
You have a comparison between what God's done in your life and what you're doing in the barbecue arena. One of the things I loved about your book, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, but is for those of us who didn't grow up with this, you outline every cut of meat that's potentially usable, even fish. The slaw that goes with it. I mean, you've got it all in there. What is this cut that we're looking at right here?
We're looking at a pork butt, and ironically, it's not off the rear end of the pig. It's actually the top of the shoulder. It's the butt of the shoulder. It's well marbled. It's very forgiving throughout the cook. So you can kind of overcook it, and it's okay. You can undercook it, and it's still very good. And you can introduce a lot to it, so it's kind of an open palate for any pitmaster chef or grill master.
Well, I see that you've got an array of spices here, and you make your own rubs.
I do. A very important component is going to be the rub. It's going to create a bark, which is going to be that outside brown layer where all that flavor is going to come from, okay?
Will you start putting the rub on there as you talk to us about what you've got here, what you've put together?
Absolutely. And what I put together here is some paprika.
So, should I put
absolutely.
Go in here?
Please do. Paprika is going to build a beautiful color to it, and put a little bit of peanut oil as my binder first. I always like to make sure. Now, adding next is going to be that terminato sugar.
Am I putting the whole thing in?
Yes, the whole thing in there. Now, this you can build, and you make it in large batches, so you can use it on anything in the household.
Okay.
Then we're going to add in the seasoned salt. And then along with it, some black pepper. Okay?
Well, this is smelling wonderful already.
Of course. And you want to build that beautiful color along with making sure you have beautiful transition spices. It's going to be onion powder. And anytime you put onion powder with something, you want to put garlic powder with it as well.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be the next one. Our signature spice in this dish is going to be the fresh oregano, okay? And the heat in it's going to be the chipotle powder. Now, I always like to add the heat last because you can put it in, but you can't take it out.
Yeah.
Okay?
I should tell people these were all pre-measured. I'm not just dumping bottles.
Oh, yes. And you can find all the increments and the rub recipe itself in the book, The Ultimate Book of Barbecue.
And now you're slathering this on there.
So 2 things I like to do with a pork butt is you want to be very generous with the rub, okay? You can't over rub this meat. Okay. But I also don't like to use the word rub so much because I don't want to actually rub the rub into the meat. Are you patting it on there? I'm just kind of setting it on there, and then I'll pick it up, and then I'll just push it on there. Every time I rub the meat, it's going to clog those pores that the salts are opening up and trying to do, okay? And then at this point now, I'm going to open up my smoker. Setting this smoker here, it's a water smoker, so I always want some type of moisture in the environment of my cooker. I like to cook with a little bit of pecan and sugar maple wood. Setting it at 275 degrees. I'm just going to lay this pork butt right down in there. It's gonna hear a little bit of a sear. That's when you know you hit 275.
Did you need to inject it with something or no?
I did.
Oh, you already did?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we want to do is, after we rub it, we're going to inject it with a brine. And this we want to do prior and let it sit for about 4 to 6 hours. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is the injection. It's going to have a little bit of apple juice. It's going to have some hot sauce, some of the rub itself in it. Okay. And then you want to get a large enough injector so you can inject in 1-inch intervals all throughout that pork butt.
Now we've got one over here because this is television.
Yes.
So that's what we do.
So this is one cook, but before I do it, I'm going to show you how to build the perfect sandwich. Okay.
Yes, I would
So we're
love
going to
that.
start with our North Kakalaki sauce. Again, the recipe can be found in the book.
Kakalaki.
Yes. So it's going to have a nice base of apple cider vinegar. Very important in any North Carolina sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of sweetness to it, some fresh apple juice, and then some brown sugar. Okay. I'm going to thicken it up a little bit with some fresh ketchup. And I'm going to transition the overwhelmingness of that apple cider vinegar with a little bit of fresh lemon juice. It's going to balance it all out.
Okay.
And then for a little bit heat, I'm going to add a little bit of hot sauce, crushed red pepper or cayenne pepper, salt and pepper. And then how you know when the sauce is done is actually when we add the crushed red pepper in there. The crushed red pepper is going to sink to the bottom of the sauce. That's how you know when it's done.
Okay.
So I just kind of mix all these together and just let that red pepper flake float on top.
How long does that usually take before
About
the pepper?
15 minutes, depending on how high you have it, but at medium degree, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And this is going to be the finished product here. Beautiful, kind of a silky, nice mahogany looking sauce. Then next, we're going to make sure we build a beautiful coleslaw.
That is beautiful.
It is. And one thing, it's appealing to the eye, but it's also going to cool down all these smoky and kind of spicier flavors, which we're building on. So to build the perfect pulled pork sandwich, we want to get a nice bun, a nice taut bun that's going to take all this food. We're going to bring it right over here. Okay? Put that cool, beautiful slaw there. We're going to open up the finished product, and halfway through the cook, I've wrapped the pork butt.
Look at that.
And what I like to do is I like to pull this in chunks. I want my sandwich to be quite unctuous. You know, I want it to be very chunky.
Like
so what I'm
literally pull it in chunks.
So air is the enemy with pork. So every time I pull it with forks or anything, it's just going to get more and more dry. So I'm going to take it in these big chunks. And, you know, usually I don't wear gloves, and that is fine because I can lick my fingers.
I like you.
But I'm going to take a little bit of that dripping right on the bottom of this foil. I'm going to drip that on. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh slaw here to the top. Okay?
Wow.
I'm going to finish it with some of that North Kakalaki sauce.
Look at that. Do I actually get to taste this?
If you would like, absolutely. The perfect pulled pork sandwich.
I'm going to put this here if I can, just because your kakalaki sauce might be on my kakalaki pants.
Getting more pork than slaw is always good.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Amazing. My hands are filthy and so are yours, but
yes.
I want you to try this for yourself. I want you to get his book, The Ultimate Book of Barbecue. It's called Southern Living's Ultimate Book of Barbecue. You can get this recipe full of everything you need to know about barbecue, available nationwide. Oh, let's shake hands with that. Chris Prieto, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.